We want to request that everyone joining us today, except committee members, keep your microphone or phone muted until you are called on to speak. As instructed in the agenda, those who called or emailed us in advance to let us know your name, contact number, and agenda item you wish to speak about will be recognized first. Before the DDRC votes on each item, I will ask if any members of the public wish to speak. Anyone speaking will be given 3 minutes. Since you are muted, when I call on you, please unmute yourself. On a phone, you will press *6 and then state your name and address for the record before you speak. On a desktop or laptop, you will hover your cursor over the microphone icon to remove the diagonal red line. For anyone speaking today, including committee members, please identify yourself first before you begin to speak. If we lose our connection for this meeting, the meeting shall be stopped and reconvened once the connection is restored. If communications are unable to be restored within 30 minutes, items remaining for consideration will be continued to the next regularly scheduled Downtown Design Review Committee meeting on Thursday, October 15th at 9:30 a.m. by video conference. The agenda and documents are located at https://agenda.okc.gov/ScirePub/meet.aspx. You would then select agenda on the right side of the Downtown Design Review Committee meeting for today's date, September 17th, 2020. See the agenda. When you click on an agenda item, the relevant documents will come up in a box on the right. Jennifer, would you please call the roll?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Committee Member Blatt.
Present.
Committee Member Bates.
Present.
Committee Member Jones.
Present.
Committee Member Kriegel. Committee Member Sir.
Present.
Committee Member Trujillo. Mr. Chair, you have quorum.
Thank you. Item number 2 on the agenda is approval of the minutes. The August 2020 minutes are in your packet. And unless there are questions regarding an item or discussion, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes.
I'll second.
I believe that everybody will have the opportunity to cast their vote in PrimeGov.
Committee Member Blatt, this is Jennifer. I seem to be having some technical difficulties with PrimeGov calling the motion. Would it be acceptable for me to do a roll call vote so that we can move on with the meeting?
Yes, please.
Before I do so, was it Committee Person Jones that made the motion?
That is correct.
Was there a second? I'm sorry if I missed it.
Yes, that was from me.
And that's Committee Person Bates?
Bates, yes.
Thank you. Now for the roll call vote. Committee Person Blatt?
Aye.
Committee Person Bates?
Aye.
Committee Person Jones?
Aye.
Committee Person Sir?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, this motion passes with all ayes.
I'm watching for it to pull off of PrimeGov. I can see that the item number 3 is cases withdrawn, and there are none. Item number 4 is continuance request. We have no items. Item 5 is the consent docket. We have no items. Item 6 is cases for individual consideration. We have no items. Item 7 and 7A is CE-01038 at 400 North Chartel. Would Katie like to introduce this one?
Hi, yes, this is Katie Friddle, Principal Planner for Current Planning and Urban Design. Laura is out today, so I'm working in her place to run the meeting. Please feel free to ask me any questions that you would typically ask Laura. This is an application to close a right-of-way for an alley between Northwest 3rd and Northwest 4th, and to close the alley along Northwest 3rd at a project site where the Downtown Design Review Committee has already approved a CA for the construction project to go on this site. As you can see, these rights-of-way easements are not in use and are just being closed so that the whole site can be developed as one project. And you all saw this a couple of months ago. It'll be an apartment complex that pretty much fills the property. I believe we have representatives of the project on the call that are here to answer any questions you may have. But this staff did recommend a recommendation of approval to the Planning Commission.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for staff? And would the applicant like to add anything to the presentation?
This is Tim Johnson on behalf of the applicant, which is Okura. This is set to be switched over to the developer that has been selected to do the project. What we're doing, as Katie described, is there was a previous vacation action on the alley that splits the block. We're relocating the sanitary sewer to the south. We're partially closing the easement that's north of the 911 center, further south than the previously discussed alley, but it's a partial release. A portion of a larger easement had already been released in the past. So we're doing a partial release to leave 10 feet on that along our south property line to allow for the placement of the relocated sanitary sewer, which construction is going to begin next week. I'll be happy to answer any questions. Tony, you're muted.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for the applicant? Okay. Do we have any comments from individuals in the audience? And hearing none, I would entertain a motion.
This is Corey Bates. I'll make a motion to provide a recommendation of approval to the Planning Commission to close a 30-foot wide right-of-way for Northwest 3rd Street and to close the east-west alley right-of-way located east of Chartel Avenue, south of Northwest 4th Street.
This is Gary Jones. I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. If everybody will cast their votes in PrimeGov. Thank you all. That is a motion passed with all ayes.
Thank you.
So thank you. Item 7B is the 2021 Downtown Design Review Committee meeting schedule. That schedule is included in your packets. Unless there are any comments or questions regarding the schedule, I'll entertain a motion to move it forward.
This is Gary Jones. I'll make a motion that we approve the 2021 Downtown Design Review Committee meeting schedule.
This is Mariana Sarur. I'm the second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. Everybody will cast their votes in PrimeGov. Okay, that's a motion passed with all ayes. Thank you. Item 8A is a presentation regarding a proposed addition to the Civic Center Music Hall. Mr. Sepner on the call. Good morning.
Yeah, I'm here. Thank you, everyone. My name is John Sempner. I think the agenda says my name is James, but it's John. I'm a principal here at FSB. We're really excited to be working with the city and the Civic Center Foundation on a renovation to this wonderful historic public building. If I can go to the next slide. To talk a little bit about the project, it's a $9.4 million project funded by the 2017 city bond. We are the architects and engineers of record Schuler Shook is our theatrical consultant on the project. Next slide.
John, this is Katie Friddle. Can I interject just really quick?
Sure, absolutely.
I just wanted to make it clear to the committee that we have not yet received an application for this, so you're not taking any action on this today. As it says in the agenda, of course, this is a presentation only, and it'll come back to you at a later date for approval.
Perfect. Thanks, Katie. Sorry, I missed that at the beginning. To talk a little bit about the project scope, we're renovating the main lobby, which is the main historic space right inside the eastern entry, and the atrium behind, which is kind of the grand red area outside the main Freedy Theater, or pardon me, the main Thelma Gaylord Theater. We're replacing existing stairwell connections to the back of the Thelma Gaylord Performing Arts Theater. We're removing the current ticket booth and relocating it, will call and patron services up to desks closer to where their historic locations were. And then we're renovating, and that's probably the significant kind of construction, is renovating the Freedy Little Theater, including its seating, the balcony, stage equipment, lighting, HVAC, and audiovisual. That's really a gem of a theater, and we're trying to make sure that we preserve the acoustics in the space and the historic feel of it. And the last, to achieve some ADA, for some ADA reasons, some access and some performance reasons of the theater, we're doing an addition adjacent to the north, and that creates a new theater entry, ticket sales, lobby space. We'll have restrooms. There'll be some additional dressing rooms for the theater, and also a VIP lounge. Next slide. As we look at our preliminary cost estimate, we're coming in kind of right on budget. Right at we think the main bid will come in at $9.3 million, and we have a lot of smaller alternates that we would like to do, totaling out to 9.4 in total. Next slide. Here you can see the addition that I referenced. This addition, just to orient you, is on the northwest corner of the building, immediately adjacent to the stairs on the north side of the building. That's a secondary face of the building. This addition will serve as the main entry to the Freedy Theater, or historically known as the Little Theater. We've tried to incorporate a lot of kind of the historic context to this addition, but keep it visible as an addition and keep it kind of a modern feel. So when you look at the columns, those are reminiscent of the main columns on the front of the building. The metal cladding you see kind of delineating the floor line has some detailing, giving a nod back to some of the details we had found inside, and similar to the other accents on the building. And it really gives a nice, pleasant front door. We have window patterns are similar to the window patterns, but uniquely distinct. So really, we feel this will be a very appropriate addition. When we talk about its attachment to the building, it will try to impact the existing facility in as little as possible. We're using an existing window way as an entry point. And then on the other end of the building, we wrapped it just far enough that we could enter into the later 1980s additions. So we're really trying to limit the amount of the historic facade that we would disrupt to the utmost minimal. Move on to the next slide. This is the vision for the inside of the theater. The current seating is in pretty bad shape. And so we're going to reshape the seating into a continental style and have a central ADA location, very similar to the Thelma Gaylord style. Here's kind of a vision of that. You can see the color palette we've gone from is the Hall of Mirrors color palette, really kind of bringing in a great Art Deco feel. A lot of the patterns and intricacies you see in this image are existing features from the theater that we will preserve and restore. Next slide. This is the north lobby. You can see the existing glass wall there. It will get converted into the VIP lounge. A lot of the uses, a lot of the user groups inside the building really need a dedicated space for functions. This can either be used as part of a standalone event or as part of a Thelma Gaylord presentation or as part of a Freedy Little Theater. It's really a flexible space. Just trying to give a little more nod back to the Art Deco feel of the space and really clean up the entry into the Freedy. Next slide. Here you can see exactly where that building addition is on the north side. You can see we're coming out there adjacent to the steps, and we extend just into where one of the two back of house doors are that we will attach. We've tried to utilize kind of the existing planter area and are going back with trying to add a small amount of landscaping adjacent to our project, but really taking it up to existing curb line, we'll likely need to relocate one tree that's in front of the main door and move forward. On the southeast corner, we're just bringing in a gas service for a new kitchen to serve the main lobby of the building. Next slide. So here you can see kind of the main floor of the building. You can see the addition kind of in the pink in the upper left corner, adjacent to the historic theater. You can see the ADA seating there in the center of the theater and the reconfiguration of the seats. As it moves into the green, you can see the VIP lobby that we referenced with a new smaller bar for that. And you can see how then we've given an enclosed door set there next adjacent to the restrooms, allowing that to really be a private space if somebody wants a private event. In the main area, really we started with looking at security and the box office. The historic box office locations were on the north and south end of the main vestibule. They're on the east. We're relocating the box office there and doing a little bit of door reconfiguration to allow them to not have to open the entire facility to allow patrons in to buy tickets. In the center there, you'll see a new security screening with high speed walk-through screening. We're really excited about that. So patrons can just walk straight in and no more stopping and getting wanded and bag searched. Only if you don't pass the screening device would you then be pulled aside. Really in that historic main space, we're really just bringing in some FF&E finishes. But the main kind of impact to this atrium will be taking removal of the ticket booth and the bar, removal of the grand stairs, and relocating the bar against the main seating bowl. There, we really feel we can get many more points of sales and clean up and really clean up the flow of the main lobby. On the south there, you can see we'll also address the southern lobby with some FF&E and a new bar. Next slide. Here's kind of a 3D rendering of what the main entry space and atrium would look like when done. Really, it's been a pinch point and a flow problem during theaters, and this is really cleaning that up nicely. Our schedule, we've delivered our preliminary reports and currently working towards construction documents. We hope to bid in early 21 in the springtime, and construction in the summer of 21 through fall of 22. I believe that's my last slide. With that, I would open it up to any questions or feedback.
Do we have any questions regarding this presentation or comments?
This is Corey Bates. First and foremost, I think this is great. You know, the Civic Center is such an asset to the city. To see it get some new attention and updates to prolong its life is just, I just think it's great overall. I also appreciate, I also appreciate you guys coming today and presenting this ahead of seeking approval. I think, you know, especially on such a high profile project that's beneficial to the process and to everyone to talk through it ahead of time, you know, without the weight of a vote even occurring. So again, I appreciate coming today. There's, I guess, a couple things that I would point out and just bring up as considerations as this gets finalized. And it's a lot of really detailed stuff because I think the big picture has been addressed. With the addition on the northwest corner, one question I would have, or one thing that I would be interested in seeing when you guys do come for a vote, and you may already be planning for this, but is to zoom out a little bit and show more of the addition within the overall context of the building, both as it relates to the north facade and then also that northwest corner. I do think there's, and you may have already addressed this, but I think there's an opportunity given the 1980s edition on the west side to make a connection with that feels contiguous. You know, I would wonder if, because that's from the 80s, is the type of brick that was used for that known? Is that still available? Is that something that could be used in this edition so that it feels, so that this edition feels contiguous with that in a way that overall it looks like the building's been added to once instead of added to twice?
I know that addition did not, the brick for it did not match the original brick. It was intentionally different. I believe David Ketch, one of my architects, is on. David, can you remind me what brick we're proposing?
David,
John, yeah. So the brick color we're trying to match or be similar to the original building, and that brick is no longer made, but we have a mixed or blended color of brick, and that is different than the 80s edition, which used a monolithic colored brick. And then we're also trying to match the stone being a limestone to have the accents that are similar to the original building and will be in the same colorway.
Okay. I mean, I know that dealing with historic brick and other brick is certainly a challenge at times with what's available and how brick weathers over time. I guess what I was getting for is if there's a possibility to make this, because you've got all three of these coming together at that northwest corner. You've got the original building, you've got the 1980s edition, and now you've got this edition. And if there's if there's a potential at all to keep it from looking like three different parts, that there may be a benefit there. The other detail that I wanted to touch on is the horizontal band above the storefront, and all throughout the rest of the existing building, that horizontal band is continuous, and so I might, it might be worth studying what that would look like, continuing that band, and again, if zooming out to where you've got the context of the existing building in the image, there may be something to tie into there.
Yeah, we looked at that some. The challenge there is that as that horizontal band turns the corner, we have another window there set on what would be the east side of our addition, and then it dies right into the main historic building. So the band kind of just ends, and so kind of we felt the brow cap as opposed to the constant band brought that feel that we're seeing there on the north and the south side, but wasn't as abrupt. So,
yeah.
So,
and another, just throwing this out there, just another option then is, the existing entry on the north has, the storefront is flanked by two vertical elements. And so I don't know if it's worth looking at, in the addition, having the corners come out slightly on both sides of the storefront. And that'll give if the band is not extended out, it'll give it a stopping point. But again, these are very minor details. I think overall, the approach is there, the effort for this project is great. And actually, sorry, one last thing at the northwest corner, the way the addition jumps out, I'd be interested in seeing really what that sidewalk condition ends up being. It looks like there may be a slight pinch point before you have to cross a rather large curb cut for the service entry. And so
yeah, so if you see the little jut out on this image, that's where we're capturing the fact we're redoing the ramp there. We'll take it up to a small grade and then stop at a midpoint that allows the access to the doorway, kind of the existing doorway to the south. And then we'll continue up to the sidewalk grade to continue. So it'll kind of be taking an existing ramp and breaking it into two. That's why you see that little jog around. We can detail that in our final submission.
okay, yeah. I'm curious what's left for the pedestrian using that sidewalk. If let's say they left the theater and they were going to their car to the west, how they would walk across the north side of the site at that pinch point.
Yeah, it's really open and broad. I think it's a good pedestrian experience, honestly.
Okay.
We'll give you some more imagery so you can see that. So
Thank you.
thanks, Corey.
Do we have any other comments regarding this presentation? Or comments from the audience?
This is Katie. I'll just call attention to one thing that staff has discussed with the applicant to give everyone the opportunity to discuss it now. We've talked a little bit previously about the relationship between the addition and the stairs on the north side, where there's like a very small little space kind of between the addition and the stairs and where that juts out, and discussed, could that east wall of the addition move farther to the west, or was that an appropriate relationship between the kind of monumental stairs and the addition? So if anyone on the committee has thoughts on that, or if the applicant wants to mention that. That was the only other thing that had come up in our conversations, I think.
Yeah, could you go back to the kind of the large floor plan view so we can just see? So if you look at this view, you can see where we've tried to hold off from the monumental stairs, not to engage it, but you can also see the intent of using that window that I referenced earlier as the entry point really is the only available space. We would have to demo out that entire window and the kind of the existing, I'll call it a column, but it's just really an exterior detail on the building to move it any farther to the west and achieve kind of the entry point to the back of the theater that we're achieving. It's tight.
This is Corey again. I understand the logistics there, and I think that's where if we pull the camera back, I understand that now that you're engulfing that window, and so I think seeing how that addition relates to what'll end up being above it, the other windows, I think will be important as part of working out that condition.
Thanks, Corey.
Okay, seeing that we have no action on this item, if there are no other, and thank you for your presentation.
Yes, thank you.
There are no other items, we'll move forward, or no other comments. We will move forward to item 8B, which is communications administrative approval reports. Several items that are under 8B that have no action, but in the event that there's anything that needs to be discussed, it could be. And hearing no comments, then item 8C is comments from planning department staff.
We, at this point, anticipate that at least for October, all of our meetings will still be virtual. So we will keep you informed as to whether there's any change to that and confirm if we have, I think we do have an October meeting, but we'll confirm that with you all so you can make sure to mark your calendars. But for now, we think we will still be meeting this way for the next month. And that's all I have to report at this time.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any comments from committee members? Okay. So our next meeting date is October 15th, 2020. And any applications will need to be submitted to staff by 4 p.m. last Tuesday. And if there are no other comments, then we are adjourned. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.